Nothing happens until somebody sells something. Hi, I'm Brad Ferris from Anchor Advisors, and I'm here to walk you through the sales process. First of all, I don't seriously believe that you can sell anybody anything that they don't need. We can identify a need and then offer to fill that need for people if we are a good provider in order to fill that. But convincing people to buy things that they don't need, no amount of sales tricks is really going to make that work on a consistent basis. And so rather than thinking about selling people, I want to think about finding out what it is that people need and then helping them to see you as a potential provider for that thing. And if you are not a provider for that thing, if they have a need that you can't fill, then you're much better off referring them to someone else than trying to fill a need that they don't have. So that's my first thing, is that you can't sell anything to anybody, but you can discover what people need and see if that's something that you can offer them. So how do we do that? Well, we do that by making offers. In the world, we can make offers and then people can respond to those offers. So we put out into the world through various marketing channels things that we know how to do, problems that we know how to solve, solutions that we've seen work for other clients. Those are called case studies, or they're called content marketing, or they're just called offers, right? And so we make offers to our target market, right? We've identified the people that we think are most likely to respond to those offers. And so we make offers to our target market in a way that allows them to respond. And if they're responding, then they're already self-selecting that they're the kind of people who need the thing that we have to offer. So that's step one, make offers and have people respond. But just because people have responded to an offer doesn't mean they're really our ideal clients. It doesn't mean that the problem and the situation that they have is really the one that we want to sell. Or better yet, it doesn't mean that they are well qualified in terms of how much money they have, how important that problem is to them. And so we start off with a qualification process because we want to spend our sales time on those people that are most likely to buy our services and get a good result from those services. Remember that when we're choosing to work with clients, part of what we want to get out of it is that they have a great result, so that we have a referenceable client, so that we have a case study, so that we get referrals. And so as prospects are coming in, as people are responding to our offer, we want to start by qualifying. What does a qualified lead look like? To me, a qualified lead has 5 characteristics. Number one, they have a need. We've identified that they have a need that our services can help with. Secondly, I want to make sure that that need is important to them, that it's a problem they're really committed to solving, that they're willing to take the time and effort and invest the money into getting a good result. And so we want to make sure that it's an important need for them. Third, the money thing. We want to make sure that they have a budget, that they've thought about how much this is going to cost, and that their expectations for how much it's going to cost are within the realm of possibility for the kind of services we offer. Fourth, we need to make sure that they have a deadline, that they have some sort of time frame on which they want to do this. It's amazing how many people will come and say, yeah, I want to do this thing, but if there's not a deadlines for action, unless there's some kind of reason or place in time that they want to have it done by, it can be really hard to get that deal to close. And then finally, I want to make sure that they understand that there's some consequence for not fixing it. So if we agree together that there's some kind of problem that we want to solve, then the next question I want to ask is, so if you end up not doing this, if it's too expensive or too much work, or for whatever reason we can't work something out, what's going to happen? You know, what kind of consequence is there? What big, scary, terrible things happen in your life if this problem doesn't get solved? And again, if there are no consequences, if there's nothing that is going to happen if the problem doesn't get solved, it makes it a really tough deal to close. On the other hand, if they tell you that, if I don't get this done by September 1st, oh my gosh, the whole world comes to an end, my spouse is going to leave me, the business is going to fail, well, then we've got a really powerful lever to help get that deal to close. So, do they have a need? Is it an important need? Do they have a date? Do they have a process for making the decision? And is there a big, scary reason why not solving this problem is going to be a problem for them? So once we have a qualified lead, then we move into the discovery phase. The discovery phase is where we work together with the prospect to learn more about the challenges they have and the opportunities that the challenge presents, and our capabilities and our track record to see if there's a fit between what they need and what we offer. In many cases, the qualifying conversation is a brief conversation, might even happen via email, and the discovery conversation might be the first time that we actually get on the phone with them for any significant period of time. And so the discovery conversation has an agenda. Every discovery conversation has very much the same agenda, and we want to establish that agenda with the prospect at the beginning of the call. And so the first thing that I'll often say is, hey, today I want to make sure that we have time to really understand the challenges that you're facing and what would happen if we're able to resolve those challenges. And during that time, I want to give you some idea of what it's like to work with us, just to see if there's a fit between what you need and what we provide. And if there is, then we can talk about how we can move forward. And if not, then I'll be happy to introduce you to other people that might be able to help you solve that problem. So it's a very simple agenda that we lay out at the beginning of the meeting, and then we follow that agenda. So tell me about your problem. What's going on? What have you tried? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? If you're not able to solve this problem, what are the consequences? Remember, we asked that in the discovery conversation, or in the qualifying conversation, but here we want to explore it in more detail. People tend to make decisions that are good for them personally. So don't just explore the consequences for the company, but what does that mean to you? Does it mean that you're not going to get a promotion? Does it mean that you can't send your kids to college? Like, what is it that happens if you can't get this problem resolved? So we ask about the problem or the opportunity. We ask what they've tried. We say, what obstacles do you see? What things are still in your way? What needs to get resolved in order for this to be fixed? And then at the end of it, we'll say, does it seem like this is a good fit for us? Along the way, as they're talking about their challenges and opportunities, it might give us an opportunity to talk about, hey, I solved a problem like that for one of my clients. This is the situation that they were in. Here's what we did. Does that sound like the kind of thing that's going on for you? If you do this discovery conversation well, at some point, the prospect is going to look at you and say, it really sounds like you could help. Would it be possible for us to work together? When I was first starting out in sales, the person who was my mentor told me that clients would literally close themselves. And I thought he was crazy. Like, I didn't see any way that a prospect would ask me, hey, can we work together on this? But in fact, it has happened to me multiple times. In fact, the first sales call I went on after this training, that exact thing happened and my jaw just fell onto the floor. But if you're doing a good job in the discovery phase, the client will see you as the natural next step. If they don't, go ahead and ask. What would it look like for us to work together on this? Is that something you'd like to explore? So that's the idea of the discovery conversation, is to get to the point where you understand the problem, you think that there's a good fit with your skills, and they see you as a viable solution. Once you get to that point, you're going to say, great, I need to think a little bit about the solution and what the possible options are. You've given me a budget to work with, and so let's set a time where I can lay out a couple of options for us to work together that would be within your budget. And so that's another conversation. So the first conversation, the discovery conversation, we don't generally talk about a proposal or proposing solutions. We're going to do that in a second investment call. So once again, when we get to the investment call, we want to lay out an agenda where we're very clear about what we're trying to accomplish in this call. So the purpose of the investment call, and of course, I'm not calling it the investment call with the client, but for the purpose of this call, is that I want to review what I heard and make sure that I heard you right in the last call. And then I want to present a couple of options for how we can work together. And then I'm hoping that by the end of this call, we'll see which of those options fit best for you and make a decision to move forward. Does that sound okay? So again, setting that agenda at the beginning with the goal of this call to be to say yes or no with working together. And then in this call, we just, again, follow the agenda. I lay out and I say, well, what I heard when we talked last was these were the challenges and the opportunities. And if you aren't able to convert these challenges into an opportunity, there are some consequences for you. Did I get that right? And I want to make sure that they know that I heard them. And I also want to get them back to that emotional point that they were in the discovery call where they kind of laid everything out. So we want to lay that back out for them and make sure that they agree with that. Once we have them at that point, then it's pretty easy to lay out a proposal for them. Here's option A, option B, option C. Which of these look like they would fit best in the situation that you're in? I never want to offer just one option for us to work together, because what that invites is a yes-no conversation. Yeah, no, that's not going to work for me. Well, now where do you have to go with that, right? But if you have A, B, and C, now you're talking about which of these fits best. And they may still say no, but it puts you in a situation where you have a lot more room to go with the conversation. At the end of the investment call, there might be some objections. Wow, that's a lot of money. Or, when I'm going to spend money like that, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to talk to my business partner, or whatever it is. Sometimes they may ask you for references, or, they're just unsure about, are you really the right person to do this work? So handling objections is a thing that you want to do while you're on the phone. You want to get those objections out, because if they're in their mind, you want them to verbalize them so that you can deal with them on the call. So if you see that they're hanging back, you might even ask for objections. Well, is there anything that's kind of holding you back from saying yes? Well, now that you mention it, it's a lot of money. Okay, so now we can talk about, why is it a lot of money? What does a lot of money mean? We have 3 options here. Were all 3 of them too much money? Well, no, the lowest price one is in the price range that I want, but I want some of the features or things that you're offering in the higher price one. Okay, now we're negotiating, right? I need to talk to someone else about this. Well, I can understand that. I have the same kind of agreement with my business partner or spouse. As you go to talk to them, what kind of things are you going to say? Like, how are you going to present it? And do you feel like they're likely to say yes or no? And so that helps you to get a better handle on where you are and help to shape the conversation that they're going to have. What if they ask you for references? So I usually welcome that, because I know if I connect them to my references are going to say great things about me. But I don't want to waste a lot of time with my references on people who are just afraid to say no and are using that kind of as an out. And so I'll respond and say, I'm happy to have you talk to my references. I just want to make sure that's the last step in us working together, is for you to check my references. And if everything else is already checked off and all you need to do is check references in order to say yes, great, then let's connect you on those phone calls. The process of selling isn't something where you're manipulating people or where you're trying to get people to do things that they don't want to do. As I said at the beginning, I don't even know if that's possible. Instead, we want to have the prospect's best interest in mind. We want to look for opportunities where we can serve them, where we can help them, where we can help them reach the goal of the journey that they're on. And if we can join with them on that journey, they're going to take us along and be happy about it. And so this process helps lay out how you get from the beginning to the end. What kind of questions do you have about the sales process? I would love to hear more from you. If you drop down in the comments here, could you just let me know what kind of questions this raises for you, or where you get stuck? I would love to hear more about that.